Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Shelley Hopko. I'm one of the faculty members with the nursing department, and we're going to discuss digital detox today. So I'm assuming everybody kind of thinks, that's not me. I'm not addicted to my phone. I know how to use technology and not, depend on it as much as we tend to do. I will say while I was researching this, it was very eye-opening on how much I actually do use my phone and my screens. But we're going to start off with our learning objectives. So we're going to understand how constant digital engagement contributes to mental overload and fatigue, learn practical strategies for implementing digital detox to reduce stress. Sounds like we could all use that, especially this time of the semester, and develop digital habits that promote a balanced life and mental clarity. So, the digital overload problem. Why is this such a big deal? So, digital overload, what is it? The state of being overwhelmed by excessive screen time, notifications, and digital information leading to mental fatigue and reduced focus and emotional strain. So what does that mean?
You're just because of everything that's overwhelmed by just everything.
Yeah.
Tell what's important.
That's true. Like sometimes you get a lot of notifications, sometimes they're important, sometimes they're nonsense. Like I get ones a lot of times from different stores I shop at, and especially this time of year, ooh, stuff on sale. Guess what? And then it just comes across your phone. But then I might get a notification for email, and it might be something important with a student or faculty, so it might not be something I can put off. So we're getting hit with these notifications constantly. Or is it in the back of my mind, like, oh, I got so much to do. I got to write back to that student. I got to do this, got to do, and a lot of our jobs, I mean, our platform is D2L, it's on a screen, whether you're accessing it on a phone or your laptop, your desktop computer. So we are in front of the screen a good amount of the time. And then when you go home, what do we do to relax?
Get up, Paul.
Scroll through like funny content or stream, your favorite show that you've probably seen 100 times already, or your favorite movies, or video games. There's a lot of things we don't really think about as being digital or screen time that really are. So we kind of talked about this already. What does digital overload look like? Constantly connected. So I know I'm not alone. I'm the only one with my email on my phone. So the second I ding, I'm like, ooh, who's emailing me? The feeling where you can't go without a phone or tablet, and I'm not saying this is just for faculty. You may run into students that are experiencing this kind of this things as well. Have you ever gone out with a coworker or a friend and you go out to eat, and the second you sit down, they got their phone out? They trying to, and it's like, that's one of the rules we have at our house. We don't do phones at the table. That's one thing I am good at sticking with. Because, if you haven't seen your family all day, you've been at work, they've been at school, or they've been at work, that's a good time to just kind of, okay, unplug and actually have a conversation. We talked about pressure to respond to those messages or those emails, especially students. They're going to email you all hours of the day. And when do they want an answer? Right now. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not on my phone at 3 a.m. But they do. And then you get up, you're like, okay, let me write back to them. And I talked about we're online frequently, and a lot of times it's because we have to. And it's not just education. There's a lot of jobs where you're online or on in front of a screen, like healthcare, everything's in the computer. And probably a lot of other jobs too. So notifications, social media, you get those notifications, so-and-so liked your photo, so-and-so liked your comment, or, how many likes, how many dislikes, I guess, when they thumbs down, maybe. Stores, I know I get those. And your apps, especially like sometimes if you haven't used an app in a while, it might send you a notification, be like, hey, where you been? Potential negative effects. First off, harmful to relationships and friendships. We had a political election last year. I don't care which side you like, but did you see stuff online that maybe didn't align with how you thought? And what was your thought towards maybe the person that posted it there? Either way, either direction. One example, my husband and I went out for dinner maybe a couple months ago, and there was a family. It was a husband, wife, and three pretty young school kids. Like, not the type of kids that could sit down and kind of just do on their own. And the mom was wrangling these kids, trying to keep them, the dad, the entire time on his phone. Like, kids are throwing menus on the floor. Dad did not look up once. And I'm sitting there, and I'll be honest. I know, like, the saying is we listen and we don't judge. I judge. I judge. I said to my husband, I'm like, if that was you, and mine are 19 and 17, like, we are far from that phase of life. But I'm like, if that was you, we would have a problem. But he was completely oblivious until one of the menus hit him. Anyway, but those are the kind of negative relationships like that can happen. Interrupt social skills. Do you ever notice with your students that sometimes their social skills aren't quite what you would expect? Or your kids? I know mine are teenagers, and sometimes just things you think are common sense, maybe because they own their phones a lot and they just don't understand like how you interact in person, because it's a lot easier to say something online, whether it be nice or rude, and there's not as much consequence. But when you do it in person, there's going to be a consequence. So sometimes it'll affect their skills. What about decrease in exercise and activity? Are you on the treadmill while you're scrolling or streaming those movies or whatever? Probably not. I mean, some people might, but not most times. I would say not. So we're not getting as much exercise. And in the long term, especially me being a nurse, there's definitely negative effects on your health. It can lead to obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and a whole slew of problems. So we're not getting the exercise. Lack of sleep. We're on our screens too much. How does that affect our sleep? Not great. Might keep you up, and I'll touch more on that in a minute. Distracted driving. We've all been behind one of those cars where you're like, ooh, they got to be on their phone for them to do that. Okay. And then addiction. Not everybody that's using their screens. Not everybody is addicted, but there is a potential where it gets so bad where they literally can't go without the phone, or they just got to check in, got to look at this. And it can kind of take over and be a problem. It can interfere with maybe their job. If they're staying up too late because they're gaming and then can't get up for work. So it could be a real problem. And then with mental health issues, a lot of times it's not necessarily the overuse of screen time that's going to lead to the mental health issue. But if there is already a mental health issue, the increased use of screen time can kind of be a way that they cope with it and can make it worse. So it can worsen depression and worsen anxiety. And social isolation, which sounds kind of odd because we have so many social media platforms where you make friends online, but at home you're just sitting there by yourself with your screen. They're not interacting with people. So it sounds social, but it can increase loneliness. So why do we do it? Dopamine. That's that neurotransmitter when something good happens. Like the classic example is you eat a piece of chocolate and it gets the dopamine going in your brain. It's the feel good transmitter. So when I'm on my phone and I'm laughing at something on TikTok and it releases the dopamine, and then you just keep going with it. What about you get those notifications that so-and-so liked your picture? It's for some people, it's almost like Pavlov's dog, where you hear the ding and you're right away like, oh, let me look. I mean, I've seen it with students, like they hear it and they're right away checking it out. So it's kind of that positive reinforcement. You're getting that feel good neurotransmitter in your brain, so you're going to keep doing it. Melatonin, that's the hormone in our body that tells us it's time to get ready for bed. Lights are, it's getting dark out earlier. It's telling our brain it's time to go to sleep. Exposure to blue light that's coming from your screens interrupts production of melatonin. So it's late at night and you're scrolling, your brain's not getting the message like, hey, go to bed. You're just, the next thing you know, it's way later than you intended, and now you're up late. And melatonin is, folks that do have trouble sleeping, it's one of those sleep aids they sell at the store. There's little different tablets of that you could take. But if you shut your screen off, you might not need it. The algorithm, you ever feel like your phone is listening to you? Yeah, it knows. Like I have a thought, and the next thing is like, have you gone to this website or have you gone to this store? So the algorithms, they're personalized to your interests, whether it's your hobbies or things you like to watch or work related. I know I get a lot of nursing type stuff that pops up that's like, hey, look at this website. So it knows and it gathers that data and it's tailored to you. So now you're sucked in and you're going to keep looking. And the endless scroll. Have you ever found the bottom of Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? It never stops. And then before you know it, you've lost all track of time and there went half your day because you're just hunting for the bottom and it never comes.
Down the rabbit.
Down the rabbit hole. That's exactly what it feels like. All right, so now I got a little activity, so I'm going to switch gears. Bear with me 1 second. There. Wait. Okay, can we see this? Okay. So, is the chat in the way on the screen? Okay, there's a QR code, or if you prefer, you can type in joinmyquiz.com or scan the QR code. If you do the website, then you're going to enter in the code there is 418859. Because I'm a nurse, when we deal with a problem, what's our first step? We make an assessment. We gather data. So that's what we're about to do. 418859. I like this. I use this in the classroom too, and it automatically gives everybody a username so students don't have to sit there and think of a name, or they can't put something inappropriate because it's already figured it out for them.
Students put something in.
I just don't give them the chance. Okay, we got 6. Okay. We'll start now and then they can join in a minute if they want. Okay. We'll start off first. I might turn that down. How do you typically use your digital devices, such as your phone, your tablet, the computer in daily life? Take your time, look at your apps. All right, we got 2 answers. We got 1, they got work, social, calendar, you name it. Somebody put for everything. They use it for everything. We got check email, scan Facebook, check the news, updates, but never ever read the comments. Please, dear God, never read the comments. We got messaging, gaming, watching videos, listening to music, keep track of time, reading, social media, access to banks, financial info, email, games, Lifeline. We got calendars, check emails, Facebook, keep in touch with my sister, texting my mom, calendars and work. Okay, very good. Here's mine. I'm almost embarrassing. It's a lot on there. Um, I've used mine. My phone for the actual phone function, make phone calls, FaceTime, text messaging, but I use it as my alarm clock. Plug it in the bathroom, so I have to get up out of bed, walk a few steps to turn it off, and it's loud. And so I don't like normal alarm clocks. The noise, I don't like that first thing in the morning. I keep my calendar in there. Everybody uses it for your camera now. You got the photos, weather, news, maps. Ever get in the car and have to go somewhere and you're not sure how to get there? App. I have books on there. I have Audible, so I listen to books, music, order food. I get to the point when my kids were little, even just doing fast food, I don't want to talk to somebody and have to order for 4 different people. If I can type it in the app and I can put specifically what I want, I love that. Groceries, I don't typically go in the grocery store. I sit at home, I'm looking, I'll scan things and figure it out that way. And then I just show up at the store, they bring it out and put it in the trunk. I've been doing that for a long time. It saves me a lot of time. I don't forget stuff as much because I'm in the kitchen. I can look if I'm out. Let's see, banking, stores, a lot of shopping, the calculator, email, videos. My dog's daycare. I send my dog to daycare once a week just to get him. He's a puppy. He's got a lot of energy. So just to get him out of the house so he can play with other dogs. But they have an app and it has a webcam. So sometimes if I'm bored, I'll pull up the webcam and watch the dogs play with each other. I've got parenting apps like the school app. House and County just put a new one out this year. There's a school lunch app, tickets, travel, prescriptions, games, coloring, my printer at home. I have to use my phone to walk into the gym when I go. Sleep sounds app. Sometimes if I can't shut my brain off and I can't sleep, I'll put on some sleep sounds. Verizon, Group Me. That's how my clinical group can get a hold of me. If we have clinical and they're going to be late, they can let me know, or they got questions, they'll put them in there. And then Facebook and TikTok. So I use my phone a lot more than I thought I did. So this one is a word cloud. So you're just going to put 1 or 2 words. What app or website do you spend the most time on? I almost spent everybody. I know it seems funny. Let's talk about digital detox. Get your phone out and log on to my Wayground. Let's see. No, we don't want to discuss. Well, where's my word cloud? Oh, it's little. Okay. So we've got, I think a few people might have said YouTube. We've got TikTok, Instagram, Facebook's on there a couple times, Outlook, Facebook and Outlook. Okay. Now here's the big question. How many hours a day do you think you're on your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer? Best guess, don't look yet. That's coming later. I got somebody for 2 hours, 6. And it may depend on the day. Like if you're at work and you have to be on your computer for work, or if it's a day that maybe you're not on the computer as much. Weekends harder for anybody? Sometimes. Got one more. Okay. Oh, I guess we're anywhere between 2 hours and 6 hours. Okay. And then how do you feel after spending a lot of time on your devices? No wrong answer. If I had to answer, I probably depends which apps or what I was doing on that device. Because sometimes if it's just entertainment stuff, I would say unproductive. Like, ooh, I have stuff I should have been working on instead of watching TV or looking at stores or TikTok and laughing at TikToks. Oh, we've got stressed, eyes tired, where you hadn't blinked in a while and they get a little dry, lazy. Okay. Okay. Got stressed, eyes tired, and lazy. I'm going to add unproductive. All right, let me switch screens again. Can you see the PowerPoint? Okay. All right. So recognizing the signs of digital overload. So how do we know we've had enough? I know for me, it's definitely the end of the semester. I feel like I'm on my computer grading. And so I definitely feel like some days I've had enough. Sometimes there's cognitive or emotional signs where you may have been on your screen too much. So difficulty concentrating, what's that look like? For me, is personally, is I sit down, I'm gonna do something, but I start getting easily distracted. Like all of a sudden, the kitchen, I hadn't wiped the counters or something. Like I just gotta like get up and do something else, and I tend to just get off task. Forgetfulness, yeah. I forgot a student's name the other day at clinical. We've been going to the hospital once a week all semester, and it just like blank. Like I'm looking at her and I know it, just couldn't get it from my brain out my mouth. And I'm like, ooh, maybe that's a sign. That's when I found that I was like, ooh, maybe I'm a little overloaded. Feeling irritable, maybe. What about feeling overwhelmed? If you think we as faculty are feeling a little overwhelmed, what about the students? Because they've got more than just my class. I know my group, they've got a couple classes. And so they're juggling work and then on D2L. So they might be feeling overwhelmed too. Indecisiveness. Why would we feel indecisive?
Can't really come up with an answer.
A little indecisive about an answer. Sometimes it's just we're getting so much information in, and then it's just I cannot make a decision. I've just got too much. I don't know what I want, don't know what I want to do. You just don't want to make another choice.
Or you change your mind.
Or you make multiple choices. Just keep changing it. And then for somebody that's really overloaded, you might see some mood swings. So that's usually kind of like not typical, more of like somebody that's really in trouble. That's none of us, right? Just saying, if it is, it's okay. And then physical signs. Somebody already mentioned eye tiredness. You ever get the twitch? Like I know when my eyes get strained, the one just starts twitching a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I gotta stop. Gotta get off. Headaches, sometimes get them tension headaches, sleep pattern disturbance. That happens to me on occasion where you just can't shut your brain off and get to sleep. And then neck, back, and wrist pain. Have we heard of tech neck? No? When you're on your phone and you're looking down and your neck should be facing upright. But if you're looking at your phone looking down, a lot of times people are starting to have posture issues and they're getting a little doe-agers hump a little earlier in life. That's supposed to be when you're elderly. But they call it tech neck because you're always looking down. So ergonomics, put your devices where you can look straight at it. Sometimes upper back pain with that as well. And then wrist pain. People are getting carpal tunnel, which that's nothing new. We've had that for years with the computer, or if you're holding your phone too long and your hands start getting a little numb, you're having some carpal tunnel. And then just general fatigue. Behavioral signs, compulsive device checking. So you got your phone sitting there, you just constantly got to make sure you're not missing something. You're just always looking at it. Losing interest in other activities. Like if you are just on your screen so much that all of a sudden now you're not having time to do your hobbies or your activities, like maybe if you're into sports or pickleball and all of a sudden now you're not going to pickleball as much. Outdoor activities, social gatherings where your friend invites you somewhere, you're just like, I don't want to go, just want to stay at home. And stream things on my phone or stream things on my TV or computer. So it was a little lonely, little avoiding social gatherings, less productive or procrastinating. That's none of us, right? I mean, I'm guilty of it. I know I am. But sometimes you just don't realize how much time you're actually on your phone. And it leads to like, oh, shoot, that deadline's coming up. Okay. So, and I think the worksheet is in on Teams that they have access to it.
Sorry, I'll get that, I forgot to.
Okay.
My bad.
We gonna actually do an audit. See how we're doing. You want one? Okay. So you will need your phone again, which I know is funny, the detox. The digital detox, and the lady keeps saying, get your phone out. But what we're gonna do on this worksheet, it should be coming to Teams in just a minute. We're gonna reflect on our phone usage. I'm gonna do it too, actually. Reflect on your phone usage, estimate which 10 apps you use the most, and estimate how long you spend on those apps each day. And this will change. Like there's going to be days where you're on it longer and other days when you're busy, you're not on it as much. But what do you kind of think the average is? So after we got that figured out, then we're going to go to the settings in your phone and see what the actual times were for last week. And you can look at your phone if you're not sure or which apps you have. And they don't have to be in order, just the 10 that you know you use the most. And then once you've got your estimates down, then you're going to go to your phone settings. If you have an iPhone, it's under settings. And then screen time. And then you can look at your estimates for the week. Or you can do last week to look at the full week, see what you spent the most. I'm already finding out the top 10 I thought. Some of them did not really rank. And somehow I spent an hour and a half on the calculator last week, which isn't like an app you would think you'd spend that much time with. I was figuring out some grades. No, I was looking at some grades and trying to figure out like, okay, where are we at? What do we need for how many we gonna have? Did anybody find anything surprising?
I've been using my phone as much as
That's good. So you kind of assuming it was worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
That's what, when I had looked at mine, I'm like, ooh, I am on this more than I thought I was. Ooh. And I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if anybody wants to share, they can. Or if you want to just keep it for your own personal reflection, that's okay. I'll give you another minute. Okay, I'll keep going just so we don't run out of time. So now we know what the problem is, or if there is a problem. How do we do a digital detox? Where do you even start? So start with small changes. You know that saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You don't have to go full Amish where you turn off everything and you just nothing. Small changes. So things like a realistic time frame. Maybe setting limits on your app. Like maybe I'm only going to be on Instagram like 30 minutes or 15 minutes, little bite-sized things. And then when that little alert says like, hey, you're out of time, okay, shut it off instead of hitting add more time. Cause that's what I'm guilty of. I do that. I'm like, oh, another 15. Sure. And the next thing I know, oh, it was way more than 15 minutes. Realistic time frames, small daily habits, or what about a screen-free weekend? That sounds a little challenging, but I think it would be, for me, I think personally, if I managed to stick to it, that would be a good thing. Because what would I do without my screens? Probably maybe get outside, um, go somewhere, see something different, all sorts of different things. Sky's the limit. So what are our goals? If we were to do a screen-free weekend, or if we want to cut down on how much screen time, why are we doing it? Because if you know why you're doing it, you're more likely to stick to it. So your goals could be things like, do you want to sleep better? Is the screen and the blue light messing up your sleep? Um, Maybe the digital overload stressing you out, so you want less stress. Maybe you want to try a new hobby, possibly. And then this one I think is really important, especially for faculty, letting people know that you're not available. Because I'm guilty of it. I tell students, I'm like, if you need to get a hold of me, email me. Outlook comes straight to my phone. Well, if I'm on a screen-free weekend, guess what? I am not going to read that till Monday. So you got to make sure other people know, like, yeah, maybe if it's something urgent, call, but if you're messaging, I'm not going to see it until Monday. And then device-free zones, things like the dining table. Because who wants to eat with somebody while they're like, no, you want to have a conversation. And maybe your bedroom. And this is really helpful for folks that are on the screens while they're laying in bed. And then next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you're like, okay, I've watched a lot of whatever you're watching, but you're not as well rested. You're going to have to struggle the next day at work. So keep the blue light out of the bedroom. Logging out of apps. I thought this was a really good strategy because I know my phone, it saves all my logins. So every time I'm like, it's pop right to it. If you log out, now you've added another step. Do you remember your password? Now you gotta like, is it really worth it to get in here because I don't know my password? You might just like, never mind, do it a different day. Decrease or turn off sounds for notifications. So if you're getting likes on Instagram and you get little dings, but turn the sound, like your phone sound can still be on, but I don't need to know every time somebody likes something I did or I put out there. Screen limits, app limits, they work great if you stick to them. I'm very guilty of the adding more time to it. Replace screen time with other activities. So if you wanted to start a new hobby, social things, social gatherings, new clubs or new skills, exercise, all positive things. And then if you really overwhelmed or if you are really addicted, like you're having trouble functioning in your daily life because you got to be on some kind of screen, you might consider some kind of professional help. And I'm not saying for faculty, could be faculty, could also be our students, especially young ones. They've grown up in the digital age. There's always been a phone in front of them or a tablet. You know, you've heard the thing where people refer to them as like tablet babies, where parents, I remember when mine were little, you get so stressed out and you just want them to be quiet for a minute. So what do we do nowadays? Here, have the screen. Now these kids are adults and they still feel like the screen got to be there. So it could happen to anybody, but it tends to look like the younger ones are a little more at risk for this. But good to be aware of. Okay, if you flip your worksheet over, on the back is the personal detox plan. So personally, like what kind of changes do you plan to implement that'll help you get off your screens a little bit? Be realistic and specific. So don't just say, I'm going to be on my phone less. Like what does that look like specifically? And I'll give you a few minutes. It should be on the same worksheet that the other link is on. It should be on the back. Now I'm going to be a little more insistent on sharing just one thing, one small change that you might make. And online too, you guys are not off the hook. There's a chat function there. And one more option I forgot to mention, you can set your phone to do kind of like a do not disturb if you want to do that for like an hour or two a day, where you just it's limited access in whatever time frame you tell it. But that's another option. Anybody got any ideas?
I just put this into the chat with Lisa Spur.
Oh, okay.
But mine includes getting up from my desk and walking around more often.
Yeah,
And not having my phone at the dinner table.
that's a good one. Yeah.
And you have someone who said that they purposely have most of their notifications turned off.
That's what I need to start doing because some of them are nonsense ones. Like it's nice to know there's a sale somewhere I shop, but I don't necessarily need to know every time there's a sale. So I think that's one I need to start doing is just kind of silence some of these things.
And you have someone agreeing with that, saying they use do not disturb at night.
That's a good one. Does that allow phone calls through though? Like if it's an
At
emergency?
least for me.
I think you can.
Can reach me, but no one else.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And let's see, if someone keeps their phone on vibrate to reduce a lot of noise from notifications
That's a good one.
and phone silence over the weekend.
Mm-hmm. That's a
I'm
good
sorry,
one.
for weekdays.
Weekdays.
Yeah.
I always worry, like if I have it on silent, am I gonna miss something? But if it's important, I'll leave a voicemail. But those are good ideas. I like that.
I look at my phone, take notifications off, so I can still check on work, but not be interrupted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those interruptions, like, I don't know if it's usually when students email me, I'm always like, oh, I better write back quick. And it's like, honestly, they can wait a little bit. It doesn't have to be immediate. Like, very good. Okay. So we're gonna move on to maintaining a digital balance. So, because screens are not going away. We rely on them for a lot. But can there be too much of a good thing? Absolutely. So once you implement your strategies, give it a little time to kind of settle, see how it goes, and then you're going to do a reflection. How did it go? Like if you did a screen-free weekend, how did it go? And then how did you feel afterwards? Were you stressed out because you're going through basically withdrawal symptoms because you didn't have your screen? Or did you find a lot more calm, find a lot more time in your day to do things that you want to do? And then this is a tough one, any apps you could delete. Oh, did anyone just get anxiety from that? Like, well, I might need it. But I'll be willing to bet there's some apps you could delete and get rid of. And then mindfulness, protect your peace, do what you got to do. And then it'll look different for everybody. Maybe silencing the notifications, not responding to those emails urgently, or putting the phone down once in a while and doing something else. And be intentional with technology because it's here to stay. We're going to have to use it, but you don't have to let it take over your life. And here are my references. And are there any questions?